This is the internet universe keeping us on our toes. It's like,
The two of
hello.
us were like with our 50-year-old eyes just going, what? So that's hilarious. Hello, welcome everybody. We are back for session 2 of 3. And with me today is the lovely Karen Worstel. You know what? I've never asked if that's the right pronunciation of your last name.
Yeah.
And do you go Freeman Worstel?
It depends on which side of the family you're from. Yeah.
I'm sure.
It works both ways.
Okay, good. Well, welcome everybody. I'm Dr. Heather Denniston. This is Karen Worstel. We are here to talk about some good topics, but we're going to dig a little deeper. You know, we really want to, wellness has come up so much in this last year, obviously, because of everything that's going on. And one of the things we know is that with everything that went on in 2020, it became very apparent that as a culture, we are not healthy. And we need to step up and get serious about it. And that's what some of these conversations are about. And so we're pulling the gloves off and we're having real conversations. And today we're talking about morning routines, which may sound kind of like, but it's not, because we both have some very great tips and resources and some surprising things. And Karen, I'm going to start with you. And so, because I am definitely not a morning person. How about you? Are you a morning person?
You know, I made myself a morning person, but it's not where I came from naturally, right? So I am the one who was in high school who really wanted to campaign for starting school later than 8 o'clock in the morning, right? Because it was like, what are you trying to do to us?
And there's some validity to that, right? Like, I think naturally teenagers and kids are not supposed to be, from a biochemical, physiologic standpoint, they're not supposed to be trying to pay attention at 7:45 in the morning.
Right.
Go ahead.
Yeah. And if we had anything that needed to start, you know, like a practice or a rehearsal in my world, it started at 7.
Yeah.
So what that meant for me in my life, here's what I used to do. It's like, I had really long hair. It's very straight. Curly was in, kind of, you know, so it was like, I would go get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, wash my hair, put in the big rollers, put on the big bonnet, you know, to dry my hair with the thing, and then go back and sleep on my face while the
that is a morning routine. That is a morning routine. It may not be the healthiest one, but that's hilarious.
Yeah, well, it was like, you know, and then I would get up in time to go to school, but you know, undo my hair and all that kind of jazz. When I fought that until I was a mother, and I ended up with my firstborn who did not sleep, and it was the most rugged. Oh, it was a rugged transition, right? But I determined that if I were going to love my life, that I would learn to love mornings. And that is what I did. So everything I do around morning now is recognizing that that's how I need to embrace the day if I want to have the life I want.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I'm not naturally a morning person, but I have adjusted.
Yeah. And I'll say for myself 2 things that transitioned me into a morning person. Now, I have a sister who is absolutely not a morning person. And when she was a teenager, she could sleep till noon, 1, 2, 3 in the afternoon. I was never that, but I mean, I never saw 6 o'clock or even 6:30. But 2 things happened. I married an exceptional morning person who's very cheery in the morning. And the second thing was, like you just said, I realized there is gold in the morning. And if you miss it, you have just missed huge stuff as an entrepreneur, as a person, as somebody who wants to live a long life. All of these things are available to you in the morning. I'm like, I don't want to miss out on that anymore. So very slowly, I also made myself into a morning person. How do you think being a morning person or not being a morning person affects the idea of getting your day off to a good start?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. How do I, so from the standpoint of, how does it affect
So I
it?
guess,
Yeah.
So I guess
I'll just say them on the days when like, which is most days, almost all days, really, for me. I can't think of a
Yeah.
time when I've slept in past 7:30.
Mm.
Um, that having that decision, it's a decision to make that I'm
Mhm.
going to embrace the morning, but the benefit that I see about it is reset. The whole day for me is set.
Okay.
I read something on your blog post, which I adore, by the way. And if anybody's not
Thank
reading
you.
it, you should be reading it because I smile all the way through because I'm going, yes, yes, yes. And it's and I love your humor and and as you're talking about like making the bed,
Mhm.
like it's it's so true. I kind of discovered that by accident, but it was like, okay, you need to have a routine. You need to do the things that are going to get off the list like that so that it sets the day as this is an
Yeah.
check off the list day,
Yeah.
right? That's I can either have a check off the list day or a day that's a total blowout.
Yeah, I love that too. And for me, making the bed is the first small win of the day. And if you can get a win
Mhm.
under your belt, your brain's like, I'm here to win, and it starts practicing that. So I think
Yeah.
tiny little wins at the first part of your
Yeah.
day are really great too. Whatever small thing you can do, making a bed is a nice, easy, low hanging fruit for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you tell your clients to have a morning routine, right?
I do.
Yeah.
And
You tell me about that.
it's interesting because I really only established a real morning routine about 18 to 24 months ago. So before that, I was getting up early, but I was grabbing a tea and going right to work. And there was nothing in between. And so I would start work around 6:45 and just power through. And the next thing was 3 o'clock. And I started to feel like kind of an empty person and overworked and burnt out, which is your big thing is all
Yeah.
about burnout. We're going to
Yeah.
be talking about a freebie today, guys, a little giveaway that Karen's giving today.
Exciting.
If you want to skip to the freebie, it's trailering right along below us. But I'm like, this isn't working. And so I started to study like all the different folks who are talking about morning routine. And I'm like, okay, it can't just be about gratitude. Like I get it. Get up and be thankful. What else is it about? And so started to kind of research what fit for me and what worked and what resonated and what lit me up. I have a friend whose name is Laura, and she always says it takes some time to light up, Laura. And I like that saying because it's like that's how we stoke the fire in the morning mentally, physically, and emotionally. And we do it one way or the other. And if we don't do it with intention, then it just kind of like happens. So yeah, I do talk to my clients about morning routine, and then one of the main reasons that I do is because when we're sleeping, we're processing, putting things into compartments. We're working through issues. We're solving problems. Where creativity happens as we're sleeping too. And when you wake up in the morning, that's all still happening. And the second you pick up the phone, your phone is telling your brain what to think about. You're not. Your phone is. And you've just shut all that off.
Yep.
So where my morning routine started and how I talk about my clients is I'm like, let's let that goodness and juices still flowing. Let's amplify and capitalize on that as much as we can by establishing routines that bring that all out of you, your creativity, your problem solving, any kind of thinking. So I think that's really key. Ben Hardy talks about a morning routine and talks about how creativity doesn't come from us typing in front of a computer. Big ideas weren't solved, big problems weren't solved, new ideas weren't brought forth. It happens in the stillness. And so if we can start combining the morning with some stillness with all that creative juice that's left over from sleeping, then it's incredible. So I really started to see like, oh, there is massive capital here, and started to use it for myself and then started to share that with clients. And so I don't know what, like, how long would you say your morning routine is? We're going to get into what they are between the two of us, but how long do you spend in kind of what you would call your morning routine?
Well, for me, it depends, and I'm like you. There are times when I get up and I still like it depends. I resist it now, but
Yeah.
go straight to the computer. I have, I like sometimes in major hustle mode, and it's 14 hours of
Yes.
hustle,
Yeah.
and and that's just because actually that's the energy that I'm really in that day. So I just sort of go with that when that happens.
Mhm.
However, that is unsustainable, as you already have pointed out.
Yes.
So there have been morning routines, and my favorite morning routine, it takes me an hour and a half, which feels like an absolutely indulgent luxury. But I live very close to the Bluffs Regional Park here in Colorado, which is a mesa that I hike up to. And from that point, that vantage point,
Ah,
I can see the entire um, Northern Rockies
oh
all
my
the way down to
gosh.
Pikes Peak, and on one side, and on the other side, I can see the plains, like, all the way to Kansas.
Mm,
And
mm,
so, um, talk about a perspective set on a
mhm.
expansive setting. I've always been a very visual person. So for me, having something that a combination of things, and that's why I love going up to the bluffs. It moves my body, it gets me breathing.
Mhm.
I put on my earbuds and I listen to my inspirational music that
Mhm.
really gets me moving, and I might be singing along with it, or not.
Awesome.
And then I have this very visual thing. So I've engaged everything. I've, like, fed my body. We talked last week about your body's listening.
Mhm.
That is the experience where my body gets fed,
I love that.
and,
That's beautiful.
to be my partner, through the rest of the day.
Yes.
And
And we
yeah,
talked about that last is that your morning routine should include a connection between your mind and your body in whatever that looks like for you, because you do partner through the rest of the day. I love your kind of talk about that last week. If you guys didn't catch last week, go back and check it
yeah.
out. And it was great. And so that's a great morning routine. And so if you don't have time to do that, like what do you do instead?
Well, in my faith tradition, there
Mhm.
actually is a very clear morning routine that is set out, and it's the most mundane things, like opening your eyes,
Yes. Gotta
right?
do that.
But there is a blessing that is said upon opening your eyes,
Mm.
which is, to be thankful. It's a thankfulness blessing, but it's like, for restoring my soul to me, for keeping me in your care, for,
Mhm.
so there's that very first thing. It's like, upon opening your eyes. And then there's truly even a blessing for washing your
Mm.
hands. There's a blessing for using the bathroom. There's a blessing. Everything what I take away from that is not like religious rigor, but intentionality. It is a way of recognizing that, being intentional about your morning, and it's not like just the I'm just can't open my eyes. I'm stumbling through my emotions and going through the motions. This is putting intention. So even if there's no time, I mean, all of us get up in the morning and open our eyes, all God willing, right? All of
Mhm.
it, all of us probably have a few things that we do that are very, very routine, and we wouldn't even think about them. And another way to make a routine out of it is to think about them.
Yeah, I think so too. And that intentionality, I think there is a comfort and a security in ritual. And if we can start our day feeling comforted and safe, that's a great way to start the day. So I love the idea of a little
Yeah.
bit of ritual, how, like making your tea exactly the same way every day, and just like you say, being present with it and being in tune with it. I think
Yeah,
that's great.
yeah. I think there's a reason, like, when you look across cultures, like the tea ceremony
Mm-hmm.
in a tea house, right?
Yeah.
It's a very methodical, you know, intentional
Mhm.
process to
Yeah,
create a cup of tea just so.
I think
And
that's
if
great.
we can think about it, like, I mean, this is in the age where, hello, this is like my Keurig coffee. Uh,
Yeah.
Little call out there to Tobin James wine cellar, but the 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 thing that we have now, which I think is to allow us to get to the computer even faster, which
Mhm.
is go put the cup under the Keurig and push the button.
Yeah.
That it takes the method and the process out of
Mhm.
it. And I think we often think of that as a good thing. But one of the things my coach always kind of reminds me of, that slow is smooth and smooth is fast.
Yeah.
And and being able to go through your morning with that kind of
Yeah.
thinking, you know,
Slow is
where
smooth and smooth is fast. I'm stealing that. That's
yeah,
fantastic.
the first time he said it to me, I have to be honest, the first time he said it to me is like, "You're smoking something. I have stuff to do." Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? We all kind of have that pressure. Here's the cool thing about 2020.
Mhm.
If there was one thing that I would take out of 2020 as the word for the year, is reset,
Mhm. For sure. I'm with
right?
you
Res
100%.
Reset the way we think about our day, reset the way we think about our intentionality, reset the way we think about health and wellness,
Mhm. Yes. Yeah,
relationships, whatever, everything.
unique opportunity may and probably won't ever present itself in the way that it did this last year. And I think
Never
it's,
be.
yeah, and I think it's a
Yeah.
massive wake up call. And for those of you who we're speaking to, who are those who feel burnt out, or they feel stressed, or they feel overwhelmed, or they've stepped through the door of 2021 and looked back and said, what the hell was that? And we are speaking to you, because morning routines aren't just kind of like a nice to have, they can change your life. And I think we're all looking for really doable, practical, sustainable ways that we can impact how we move and feel through our day. And I think morning routines are huge for that. So, question for you: you're a big believer in making the bed. And
Yeah,
you
yep.
Yes, and we talked about that. But and you've talked about your hike, like walk along the bluff. What other things do you pepper in that morning to set you up for success?
Well, there's actually one that's fairly recent, and I wanna do a disclaimer here, because people might be listening to this going, "Yeah, these people have it." There's people who talk about this and they always have it all perfect.
Yeah.
That is not me. I am as susceptible to the, "Oh my gosh, I have to get downstairs and get to work,"
Mhm.
push and pull, as anybody else. But one of the things that I have learned in 2020 was that the most um, the most important thing for me to remember every day is that my direction, my path, the things where I need to have my focus may not be always what is top of mind to me. And it's important to get away from being driven by the to-do list
Mhm.
and go get my download.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my download comes, like you said, in the stillness.
Mhm.
So, my download comes from, um, sitting and receiving.
Mhm.
So, being able to be I'm so often in pushing mode, doing mode, like,
Yeah.
I'm an Enneagram type 8 with a 7 wing, for anyone who knows what that is, and so
And I'm the opposite. Isn't that funny? We've never talked about that before.
oh,
I'm a
that's
7 with
interesting.
an 8. Yeah, how funny.
Oh,
Okay.
well, there you g
Well,
well,
there's
so
another show we're
we are
gonna do.
sisters. I'm
Yes,
just
we
saying,
are.
it's like slight oh my goodness, well, that's why, right? But so what happens when you're in that it's in that quadrant, right? It's a self-forgetting type. It's a type, it's also to some degree, at least for an 8, and it is like the get shit done.
Mhm. Yep.
And we can be so driven by the doing of it
Mhm.
that we forget to be the being of it and the receiving of it. It's not all about out production, it's about receiving.
For
And
sure.
so I have a morning routine that I adore, and it's just sitting to be able to do the receiving, to hear it.
Mhm.
Because if I'm so super occupied with having my background noise on, my background sounds of whatever it might be, lately it's been Clubhouse, which is
Mhm.
just, but I have to get still
Yeah.
and receive. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, and that's the newest one for me. So I like to get up and I make my tea, and then I journal. And journaling for me, as soon as I released the rules on journaling that I thought I had to have on journaling, like, well, journaling is just for journaling. You just write your thoughts and your feelings. When I turned it into, okay, I'm going to write out this business idea. Okay, I'm going to do this, whatever was coming into my mind. I kind of freed and knocked the walls off the box on that one. Journaling for me became so huge, and a way to help my anxiety and help me stay focused, because I can be very distracted. So tea, journal, and then meditation was the last ad, because I thought I would never be a meditator. And then I discovered Headspace, and then I discovered Insight Timer, which was even a better fit for me. And Insight Timer is a gift, and 10% happier. Those are three that, if you are not a meditator, those three can help you just get still. It's not about meditating. It's about just getting still and quiet. And so for me, the combination of just the ritual of like getting my tea in the morning, some journal, and some meditation. And then of course, movement is huge. And ironically, movement being one of my biggest parts of my life, I always get 2 bits of movement a day. Sometimes I am a little remiss at getting it early enough in the day to have it be part of the wake up process. So today, as we were talking about it, I'm like, I'm out for a walk for 20 minutes, even if it's just 20 minutes. And so away we went. Hillary, by the way, thank you for watching. My mantra, she says, is when I'm rushed is slow down. We're in a hurry. I love that, because when I get in a hurry, as I did this week, and I made a very big mistake, it hurts. So yeah, so I think that's a great one, Hillary. Thank you for commenting. And anybody else who's watching, please be sharing in the comments what your morning routines are. That's great. I just trying to think. I wanted to write down and make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah, so I would say, like, if somebody out there was like, I don't even know where to start, I kind of started with the 10-10-10. 10 minutes of journaling, 10-minute meditation, 10-minute stretching. Just about anybody can find 20 to 25, even 30 minutes to do something along those lines, and see which one really speaks to you and start to expand that piece of the pie. What about you? What advice do you give? Because this is part of the giveaway that we're doing today, which again, the ticker tape is along the bottom. If you want to get access to that, there is some information in there about morning routines. And so what do you like? What if someone is like, I don't have any, or I want to expand on it? Where do you tell them to start?
Well, I would just, literally just pick one thing. Pick one thing. It's like, this is the same principle as making your bed, right? Even if it's making your bed, choosing that one thing that you're going to do that's going to say, this is a thing that is done. I have this as my goal. It really starts small. My friend who's a psychiatrist, Manuel Astruc, he was on one of my podcast episodes recently. He's also a psychiatrist and a coach. He tells his clients to pick one small thing and just start with one small thing, and do that until that becomes your practice. Then add one small thing, right? So it's just overwhelming to sit down and honestly, for some of us, I'm impressed that you're a meditator, because for me, it's like, I would rather gouge my eyes out. Not really.
I know what you're saying. That's how I felt until I met Sarah Blondin. And if you guys haven't listened to Sarah Blondin as a meditation guide, just Google her. She's incredible. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's good. I mean, I think that's really helpful to sit down and say, these are the things that you can do that will help you kind of move into it, because we all have had some kind of experience or practice or whatever. And, honestly, for a person who's in our personality type, slowing down is a really hard thing to do. Right? Yes. Slowing down, like just that. Oh, if it happens naturally, that's one thing. If it doesn't, and I have to make it happen, it's like fingernails on a chalkboard. It can be for me. So if that's you, like take heart, because there's ways to kind of achieve this. And we talk about this in the handout. Going for a walk is a great thing. Going for a walk with your headphones on to
Mhm.
listen to something that really moves you is a way to do multiple things all at once. So rather than chunking them up and say, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do
Yes.
this, blend them into something that matters to you. So I find certain
Love that.
songs and things very meditative,
Mhm.
but I'm
For
not sitting
sure.
down trying to be meditative.
Yeah,
If that
I
makes
love that, and for me, I'm a very, very, very visual person, and so when I got permission from a couple of different guides to have meditation be a visual journey of either guided, the last one I listened to was guiding you through a meadow down to the beach and putting your feet in the water. It was all visual, but so powerful. So if that free, I mean, I think a lot about meditation isn't about, okay, I got to clear my mind, clear my mind, clear my mind. It's not about that. And so we can all give ourselves permission to, it's
Yeah.
just about, like you said, put some headphones in, really great music, allow your mind to kind of just flow, and you walk and you move and you're out in nature. That's a huge one. So I
Yeah.
think that's so great. Something I want to camp out on is the fact that morning routines are directly impacted by our evening routine,
Oh
and
my goodness, yes.
yes, and how we sleep. And so
Yeah.
if you are trying to start a morning routine and you stay up till 2 in the morning and you're looking at your screens and you sleep very restlessly because you have the TV on all night, or you have 7 pets on your bed, or whatever it is, that might be a good place to start before we start trying to implement a morning routine. So what are your tips for evening routine to set you up for a great morning routine?
Oh, I don't have one. I'm just gonna
But if you did, what would it be?
well, I mean, I have my set of things that I do pretty faithfully before I go to bed. I mean, I wash my face and
Yeah,
all that kind of jazz, right? But um I have I'll tell you, I'm just gonna tell you here, because you and I don't think we've
yeah.
really talked about this before, so I'm gonna share it with the world right now. But I resisted sleep. I'm a sleep anorexic,
Ah,
which is not a good thing. I'm not advocating this to anybody, but I trained myself during the dot-com bubble days to go and go and go and go, and I got tremendously rewarded for that,
mm,
until I didn't anymore, until the payback came, right?
mhm,
But I have spent the last 10 to 20 years of my life learning how to sleep,
mm.
and
And you're
and
not alone.
and
That's
to do
such
it
a
without
common.
medication.
Yes,
Okay,
amen.
so I did it with medication once because my doctor made me.
Yeah.
And then I had one of those Ambien experiences that people blog about, which we won't go into here, but that was when I was like, done. I'm done. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to figure out how to do this on my own. I had to learn. I guess the gift that I gave myself in order to get sleep, because I can't. Sleep is highly underrated. We
Mhm.
wear lack of sleep like badge of honor,
We do.
and it's a very I always cringe when I hear influencers talk about how you don't really need sleep.
Me
It's
too.
the terrible disservice, right?
Mm.
So, and if anybody's trying to lose 10 pounds and you can't, hello, look at your sleep, right? You know this.
Yes.
So
Yes.
the routine, I would say, is ask myself, what is bothering me? Like, what is that? We talked about this a little bit last week,
We
right?
did.
Is like my money worry that
Mm.
would keep me awake at night. And I had to learn to still my mind.
Mm.
I had to learn to find out what was the energy that was lingering from the day, that
Mhm.
would be that is going to come and tap me on the shoulder in the middle of my sleep and wake me up.
Yeah.
And I believe I have finally mastered that practice. For the first time I can think of in my adult life, I have slept for more than 6 hours, 5 nights in a row.
Oh. That's amazing. And you
Yeah.
know what? It's a great example of everybody's on their own journey. And for me, 6 hours, I'd be on my face. And so I love that progress is any kind of progress for you personally is a win. So that's awesome. And I think 6 hours actually is great for a lot of people, especially if you've been severely sleep deprived. And I'm the opposite. Sleep has never been falling asleep, yes, but sleeping lots of hours, that's always been fine for me. But I love that you shared that, and that I'm sure there's lots of other folks out there, particularly because you and I share a common audience of go-getters and high performers and entrepreneurs and executives and all of that kind of push. Sleep is often the first thing to go, and you will train your body to think, oh yeah, 5 hours is good. Until, like you said, until it's
Until
not.
it's not.
Until it's
And
not.
really, when it's not, then it's really not in a big way.
And then it's really not.
Yeah.
You know, I was going to bring up, not to sound all academic, but I one of the people I follow in regard to nutrition and longevity and stuff is a woman named Dr. Pam Peake. And she talks a lot about the 2016, 2017 Nobel Prizes in Science, because 2016 was on circadian rhythm, and how forever we all thought, you know, howl of the moon, of the full moon, pull of the full moon, all of this, you know, was a lot of woo woo, and it was kind of crazy. But what we've realized is that every single cell in our body responds to the day and night cycle very specifically, and with repeatability. We know this to be true. And so that whole idea of respecting that day and night cycle that our bodies so desperately, it is deep in our DNA, that we sleep a certain amount of time and that we're awake during, you know, light time. And so going to bed at 10 versus going back to going to bed at 12 and getting 8 hours on both, it's not equivalent, because you've disrespected the dark day and night cycle. And so I think that's really important. And then the 2017 Nobel Prize in Science, I have these backwards. 2016 was on autophagy, which I'm going to talk about here, and 2017 was on circadian rhythm. But the autophagy one, all that means, for anybody who's not sure what that means, is the concept of fasting and feeding as it pertains to the day and night cycle as well. And so you guys have all heard about intermittent fasting by this point.
Right. Yeah.
And so the concept, this is, I promise you, this is coming back to morning routine. The concept part of my morning routine that I started about 2 years ago was playing with a little intermittent fasting, because I found clarity, ability to focus longer, weight management, all sorts of things, arthritic pain, all sorts of things that intermittent fasting helped with, which meant that my morning routine could look a little different, because I used to be eat within an hour of waking up club. And once I pushed that a little bit, it freed up some time for me in the morning to dedicate to journaling, meditation, and movement. And so if that's something that resonates with you, you could look into that a little bit more as far as an intermittent fasting. Maybe we push till 9 or 10 or 11 in the morning to free up some time to do some other things, and then you get the benefit of the fasting. So
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of, is it John Kabat-Zinn? That's the author who wrote Full Catastrophe Living.
Oh, I don't know that.
For somebody
every single time I talk to you, I get a new book reference. I'm gonna have to
you've already given me at least 4, so I have to come in here with at least with 1, right? But yeah, Full Catastrophe Living. That is the book, I think, that really started to shift how I looked at how I needed to settle my mind. Right? Because here's the truth. Your mind will keep working for you all night long. In fact, my father, when I was a little girl, I sat at the dinner table. We had this round dinner table, and I was the one, there were 6 of us around a relatively small dinner table, and I was tucked in the corner, and my father had blocked the only escape. And so unless he was done talking to me, I couldn't leave the table. And there was no way, like, I could be like, "Can I be excused, please?" and slip away. All my siblings could, but not me. So I was stuck there in the corner. And he used to ask me this question, and I think it was really an interesting one in the day was, "Karen, what problem did you solve last night in your sleep?"
Oh. Mhm.
Well, yeah, well, so here's the trick is that that's part of what contributes to my lifetime of insomnia, I think, because I'm constantly thinking and
Yeah.
having a hard time doing the settle down in order to go to sleep. But when I realized that my subconscious mind actually worked on those problems and my conscious mind could let go of it, that was a big
Yes.
deal.
That's a
And
huge deal.
yeah, full catastrophe living really does help that, and I really do solve a lot of problems while I'm sleeping,
Oh, yeah.
but
Me
I'm
too.
not awake thinking about them, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I'm still
Yeah.
sleeping. So that's one thing that I think is really, really, really
I think
big.
that's great. I know you and I are both speakers, and I know when I'm preparing a presentation and I do a first draft of it, I try to do it kind of middle to end of the day, and then I don't look at it for 24 hours because I know when I sleep, it's going to be moving things around and shifting. And then when I wake up and go to it again, it's very obvious what the rewrites are. And I think that's
Mhm.
probably true for a lot of creatives is that as you're in that great sleep, um, a lot of these shifts, problems being solved, ideas coming forward. What a great gift we have in that. And I love that I just want to say it again is what you said was your subconscious was working on it anyway. Your conscious didn't need to.
Right, right,
It's
and
good.
that's that understanding that is really important. So
Yes.
it's being, part of a nighttime routine along those lines, I guess, if you asked me earlier if I had one and I said I didn't, actually I kind of do, is like, here are the things that I want to get done for the week. Here are the things that are the most important things to me. Making sure that that is cemented in what you're thinking, because that's when your subconscious
Yes.
part of your brain, the whole reticular activating system's like going, "On it. I have it.
Yeah.
This is awesome. Let me get
I
let
love
me get
that.
let me get to work on that for you, boss, while
I love
you
that.
sleep."
Someone I follow is Ben Hardy, and he's kind of an up and comer, and he's written a couple of books, and I like to listen to his YouTubes. And he talked about uh, subconscious suggestion right before you fall asleep, and that's exactly what you're talking about. Is give if you don't give your subconscious something to think about, it will just find something to think about. So if you have a particular thing that you're thinking about or that you want to work on while you sleep or an idea, tell it. Say,
Yeah,
can you work on this, please?
right,
Very
right.
specifically, can you try to solve for this? And I think a lot of the greats out there do that right now. And he lists a bunch of high performers that make that a regular habit. And I think, oh, well, that's easy to do. So that's something I've started to try to practice as well. Small or big, problem to solve, please.
Yes, it's a very fun experiment.
It is a
And
fun
when it
experience.
works and you wake up and you're like going, "Well, that was easy."
Yeah.
Uh,
Yes.
But I wanna come back to it really does have such a tremendous impact on your morning. I mean,
Yes.
the nights, it's not uncommon, it was not uncommon for me to sleep only 2 hours.
Mm,
And to, yeah, anyway,
wow.
I just have to say that when that happens, your body truly cannot. You can power through it, but you're very impaired. And I'm gonna and so from the standpoint of the quality of your morning and getting it off, we're talking about de-stressing the rest of your day. Honestly, when you have the energy and the capacity in the morning to focus and to have that intentionality and to feel good,
Mhm.
right? If you feel like crap because you didn't sleep, it's not gonna really work. And so sleeping is super important, making sure you do have a
Yeah.
good night's sleep. If sleep is a problem for any of you,
Start
it's
there.
that start there.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the rest of this stuff. Make it a commitment to yourself, to your body that you're gonna do sleep and get the sleep thing nailed down.
Yeah.
I can't even tell you how huge that is for me.
So
And
huge.
and what I would say is, like, going back to what we talked about last week, right? Um, um, Jordan Peterson, Dr. Jordan Peterson, he has this quote that says, uh, I might be paraphrasing it. Treat yourself, or take care of yourself as if you're someone, for whom you are responsible for helping.
Mm,
Right? We don't do that. We'll
no.
be the first ones to neglect
Yeah.
our own need, right? Because we'll subjugate our need to the deadline or to whatever else is looming out there, or what
Yeah.
somebody else expects from us, or whatever it is. And if you can just imagine your body consort is like going, I'm so tired. I'm
Hmm.
so tired. Like,
Hmm.
can we go to bed now? And you have this mind power through this as, we got stuff to do,
Yeah.
right? And so many of us do that.
Yeah.
So
So true.
you recognize that you are responsible for helping
Hmm. You are
yourself, just like
responsible.
you for somebody else. And to listen to that, it's like,
Mhm.
you wouldn't do this to a small child. If a child is saying, I'm so tired, I want to go to bed, you can't go to bed.
Yeah.
You wouldn't do that.
I know it sounds ridiculous when you say it, but we do it to ourselves all the
We do.
time.
We do. So that's a big piece. I mean, it's actually kind of part of the entire way of thinking. If
Mhm.
you're going to have a
It's
day that's going to get your whole day off to a great start,
yeah,
um,
it is.
do this. And yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I want to a couple of things. One is, do you off the top of your head remember what our next week's title is? I'm trying
Because I don't think we've decided on it yet.
to. Oh, okay, even
Yeah,
better. So
we haven't decided on the title. The topic, I'm gonna have to go look
it's
it
going
up.
to be good. It's
We'll
going to be
post
good
it
though.
anyway.
We know
We'll let
that
you
much.
know.
Yeah, and if you have suggestions, hit us up in the comments if there's something specific you want to talk about.
Oh, that'd be
Um,
good.
yeah, please do. We'd love to know. And so I want to mention this flame-proof PDF that you are willing to send to people. Can you just tell us a little bit about it, because it has stuff on morning routines, but so much more. So what is it and how do they get it?
So the statistics from 2020, since the pandemic started, is we have burnout is now affecting 2/3 of the U.S. workforce.
Mhm.
At least people are self-identifying in some way of using the words, I am so burned out.
Yeah.
And we wrote this guide as a way to help people understand what burnout is and what it is not.
Mhm.
And also to help with a couple of other things. There's a there's a lot of uh, well, in case people are not clear about what this thing is that they're feeling, right? Burnout is a certain syndrome,
Mhm.
and it has certain contributing factors to it. So we want to make sure you understand that. There's something else we talk about in the guide called, and it comes from the ancient desert fathers. It's an old world word called acedia, and it's depression's evil twin. But it's
Oh,
not really depression, and it will look like it, it will mimic it. So rather than having people go to the doctor saying, I depressed, I need something for my depression, right? What we're showing you is how acedia is usually, very frequently, what people are feeling instead, and what you can do about that.
I love
So it's really about understanding the things that impact us, how they impact us, and
it.
what you can specifically do about it that doesn't require medication,
Yes.
and will actually help you heal and come out of it. The good news is burnout is a choice, and
Mhm.
burnout is also something that's reversible. And I would just qualify that as there are clinical cases where people are truly burned out, and as I did many years ago, and you need medical attention if that's
Mhm.
true. And if you are truly clinically depressed, you
Of
need
course.
medical attention. But many of us are either on the path to it and
Mhm.
can prevent it and turn it around, or we're dealing with something that looks a lot like it, or we're using language that describes something that's really clinically not requiring medical intervention. It's requiring your intervention. So
Mhm.
we show you how to do some of that in the guide.
That's great. And so Karen's going to put that in the comments and in the description. And I want to share, just because dovetailing off that, it reminded me of a study that maybe we can close with. Is in fact, the study was repeated 2 times. I don't have the source off the top of my head, but they took women who suffered clinical depression, and one group was put on an antidepressant, and one group was not given an antidepressant and was told to get outside 30 minutes in the morning, like within a certain amount of time of sunrise. And
Yep.
I'm sure you're guessing, the walking sunrise group did dramatically better for a longer period of time than the medication group. So not only did their depression get better immediately, it stayed away. And so back to Karen's first thing that we talked about, walking the bluffs in the morning has a huge impact on burnout, on depression, on anxiety. And so I think one of our closing things today is, in the morning, if you can step outside and let whatever sunlight, if you have the gift of having sunlight where you're living right now, let it hit your eyes, let it stimulate that pineal gland, get some movement in your body, and then see how that starts you out and gears you up and lights you up for the day. Any closing thoughts, Karen, before we shut her down?
First, make your bed.
First, make your bed. Yes, because that's your quick win for the day.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I would say whatever you do in the morning, even if you pick your usual routine of the things that you're going to do regardless, do them with gratitude and intentionality.
Yes.
And make that, if you have no other way of coming up with a morning routine, start there. Yeah. Because I guarantee you, having the intentionality and the successes that you have set up for yourself at the very beginning of the day sets the rest of the day. If you want to have successes all day long, you want to have an amazing day.
Yeah.
That's what you do. And it starts in the morning.
It does. Well, perfect, guys. Thanks everybody for watching. We're going to be here again next week. This was a limited series. Next week is our last one for a while. And so do go back and watch our first one. Make sure to return and watch our third one, which is coming up same time, same place. It's Wednesday at 11 on Karen's Facebook page live. Then it lives on her YouTube page. It'll get moved to my Well Fit and Fed Facebook page, and it'll be all over the place. But come watch us live. And so we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks. To see you.